What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to tackle one of our most requested videos. Today we're ranking every City Connect uniform from nailed it to nope. Let's take a look. All right, here's our chart from top to bottom. Fucking nailed it. You nailed it on this uniform. Under that, great uni. Under that, well done. Normally our C ranking, we're going to use just meh. On the very bottom, nope. And that I think is pretty self-explanatory. We got all the City Connect uniforms right here on the bottom of the list. And we're just going to go one by one and discuss them. First up, the Anaheim Angels. The Anaheim Angels uniforms, I think, are a great example of what the City Connect uniforms probably should have been. Everybody kind of took a different approach to what they were doing with the uniform. The Angels uniforms are based off Southern California surfer culture. You can tell by the font in the uniform and just the overall look of the uniform. It looks like 70s era Southern California. So I think it's a great uniform. We're gonna go ahead and put that right here in great unis. Next up is the Brew Crew. The Brew Crew I have on my list because I did this list before, so I'd had a ranking kind of ready for you guys, and I'm kind of flip-flopping on them. So the Milwaukee Brewers uniforms I don't think are terrible. I like the Brew Crew across the chest. I like what it symbolizes, the uniting of the city, the meshing of the cultures. It's supposed to be a very artistic city. I've never been to Milwaukee, but you know, according to their video, the one thing that brings these uniforms down is they're very boring. I like the colors. I like the blue and yellow. I think they go well together. I think the uniform is a nice uniform, but I'm actually going to move this from where I originally had it, and they're going to be our very first meh. I think it's a good uniform. I think it's nice, but kind of boring. Next up, Colorado. I think Colorado did a good job with their uniform. They have the Rockies across their chest, which is their namesake for their team. The colors representing the pine trees and the forests. They're very clean. They're very sleek. They're on the verge of being boring, but I think they're just clean enough and sharp enough where I think they did a good job on this uniform. So for Colorado, we're going to throw them in well done. Next up, the Chicago Cubs. I'm going to go ahead and put a picture of these larger for you guys in the video so you can see them closer as well. But the Chicago Cubs, I think their uniforms suffer a little bit like the Milwaukee Brewers due to the fact that they are, as well, kind of boring. I know they say Wrigleyville on the chest, which I think is pretty cool. I know that they used the same font that Wrigley Field sign at the stadium uses. They have a callback to the neighborhoods surrounding Chicago, and I think it fits well, the city, but I just think that they're kind of boring. So we're going to put them in meh. Next up, the Arizona Diamondbacks. These uniforms, I had kind of a hard time because I actually really like these uniforms. They're very simple uniforms. They don't go into the boring territory. They're simple, clean, they get their point across. I do like Serpentine's name across the chest with the snake, sticking to the snake theme. The colors for Arizona, the tiebacks to the state itself with the City of Sun patch. I think the colors are great. I think these are really nice uniforms. So we're gonna take Arizona's uniforms and we're gonna put them in well done. I think they get a good job. They're very simple, but they are very clean. The one thing that I don't like about these uniforms is they are kind of reminiscent to the old 80s Dodgers uniforms with the red letter on the side, the name across the front. Looking at them at like a glance, you might think they're Dodger uniforms, but I think they did a good job. Well done, Arizona. Next up, San Francisco Giants. I think these are one of the worst uniforms on the list. They did a good job trying to integrate the city into the uniform with the Golden Gate Bridge. The G, if you notice, has kind of a gradient from bottom to top. That's representing the fog in San Francisco. If you've ever been to San Francisco on a foggy morning, you can see the fog rolling over the Golden Gate Bridge, kind of like a waterfall. So I think they got the general idea of what the City Connect uniform was supposed to be. I just think they're super boring and they're kind of ugly. I don't like the orange. I think it's too much and they look very creamsicle. The G on the chest is very boring to me. It just looks like a batting practice uniform or kind of like a knockoff uniform, non-licensed Giants merchandise. I hate those uniforms. I think they're atrocious. So those are going to go in nope. Next up, Houston, the Astros Space City uniform. These uniforms, I think like the Giants, they understood the assignment. I don't think they're as ugly as the Giants uniform. I do like the Space City. I like the colors. I like the color changing of the piping, because we all know Houston's known for...
Houston, we have a problem.
Houston, we have a problem. They're the Space City. And I think they did a good job. We're starting to see kind of a trend here in the rankings. So with the Space City uniforms, you know what? I changed my mind. Thinking about everything that I just said, I think they're actually well done. I was going to put them in the meh category, but I think they're actually well done. They represent the city. They use the team colors. I mean, they're a little bit different, but they're just different enough where it makes them unique. So actually, I've convinced myself otherwise. Well done, Houston. Next up, Kansas City. These uniforms I have a hard time with. I like the Kansas City logo that they designed. I know it's supposed to be inspired by the fountain that welcomes people into the city, but I think they're kind of boring. I don't think that they're absolutely terrible. So these are going to go kind of in the meh section there. And I think what we're going to see with the rest is the meh section is the teams. They didn't want to take any risks. They played it safe. And that's kind of, I think, what gets you into that category. Next up, the Dodgers. These uniforms are terrible.
That's terrible.
I mean, they're not absolutely terrible as they are Dodger uniforms. It's a classic uniform, but they didn't put any effort into them. Like I've said this before in other City Connect videos, the Dodgers basically took their uniform, put Los in front of it and a black stripe on the sleeve, and they called it a day. You know, they couldn't take time out of their busy schedule to design another uniform like all of the other teams did, and I think it shows. If I had to take the two Nope uniforms, San Francisco and LA, and I had to rank them, you know, 1 and 2 worst and not so bad, I think the Giants uniform is actually better than Los Angeles because I think they actually put a little bit of effort into it. They changed the uniform around a little bit. The Dodgers didn't seem to give a shit at all, and it shows. It's one of the worst uniforms that they've released so far. On to the next, Miami. This uniform's fire. This is another uniform I had kind of a problem with picking to where it goes, and the one reason that I put this uniform on this list where I did is I think Miami tried to play it a little safe. They did a great job on the uniform, but like we'll see next with like the Padres uniforms and how they're all wacky colored, I think they played it a little safe using their regular uniform color, but the uniforms are fantastic looking. I love the pinstripes. I love the Miami across the chest with the blue background. I love almost everything about them, but I think they could have been a little bit louder, and I think they played it slightly safe, but they still produced an absolute fire uniform. So these Miami uniforms are going up towards the top in great uni because it's exactly what it is. It's a great uniform. I love it. Up next, the San Diego Padres. This is probably going to be the most debated uniform on this list down in the comments. You either love this uniform or you hate this uniform. I can tell you right now that it does not go with Miami. It doesn't go with Anaheim in the great uni section. I personally like these uniforms. I think they represent the city of San Diego well. Story that they told, really great. But I don't hate the colors, but they do throw me off a little bit. I think they could have gone with a little bit of a different color scheme than what they went with, but I have to give them points for the effort that they put into the loud uniform, the way they connected to the city, and I think they really understood the assignment. I think they're a little bit above meh, and I do like the uniforms. So with the San Diego City Connects, I'm going to give them a well done because I think they did understand the assignment. They did a good job with it. Whether you hate them or not, that's a completely different story, but I do think that they're nice uniforms. Next up, the city of Boston, the Red Sox. The Red Sox uniforms, I've said this once before on this list and I'll say it again. The Red Sox uniforms, great colors, great looking uniform, but it suffers just like Milwaukee, just like Chicago, just like Kansas City. It's boring. It's a yellow uniform, it says Boston across the chest, has the area code on the sleeve. I think it's a good looking uniform. You know, it's a nice uniform. I kind of hate the Boston hat. I don't think the hat matches well with the uniform itself, not in color but in design. It's weird seeing the Boston logo in blue. I wish they would have changed that logo kind of like Houston did, like Kansas City did. I think it would have really helped, but overall I think they're kind of boring. White pants, blue belt, yellow shirt. These are going to go right here in the meh section. Like I said, we're seeing a trend here of people that just didn't really step out of their comfort zone. Next up, the Chicago White Sox. Hands down, Chicago fucking nailed these uniforms. Everything about these uniforms are fantastic. The black uniform with the white pinstriping, call back to their older uniforms. The south side across the chest I think is fantastic. What I've learned recently is the font of the south side is a Gothic font specifically to represent the Gothic style architecture in the city of Chicago. I dig the fact that they use Chi on the hat instead of just a Chicago or a White Sox logo. I think this uniform is fantastic. Not only is it clean, cool ass looking uniform, it represents the city well. I would wear one of these, and I'm not even a Chicago fan. So this uniform fucking nailed it. It's going up there on the top.
You did it! Congratulations!
The last one, Washington Nationals. This uniform's a little divisive as well. Not as divisive as the Padres uniform, but people don't like the colors of this uniform. I am on the other side of that spectrum. I kind of dig this uniform. When they first came out, I did a reel on them and I thought they were kind of boring. But if you look closely at the uniform, they have screen printed kind of design on them. Washington across their chest, the colors that they use for the cherry blossoms themselves under the Washington with the cherry blossom filigree on the jersey itself. I think it was a great uniform. I don't know if we're going to put it in the nailed it category, but this one I think I've seen above the Padres uniform, right above the Padres uniform in other rankings, which I agree with as well. I think it's a great uniform. So boom, great unis. There's our rankings, guys, for the City Connect uniforms that we've seen released so far into 2022. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think of the rankings, if you guys agree with them, or share your rankings down below. We'll see how they compare. Thanks for tuning in, guys. You watching these videos really helps me out. I appreciate it a ton. And until next time, I'll see you then. Peace.